guided note-taking, as the web cluster example that we're having you guys fill out here in class tonight. And studies have shown that students actually learn more by taking and reviewing those notes. Teachers and students both can actually use the graphic organizer here in assessment. A perfect example would be the KWL charts, and the students can actually use those to assess themselves, and the student or the teacher can use them to assess the students as well. And you could use graphic organizers as an alternative test or quiz format. Over here you can actually have students use the graphic organizer as a study guide, a way to review that material prior to a test or an assessment. And then I really like this one here, the visual and verbal learning. In chapter 8, it specifically talked about human memory and how you have two different components of that memory. One is a visual and one is a verbal component. And the graphic organizers help you capitalize on those two different types of components that students have in their memory. Graphic organizers can also help with other memory tasks, including attention, encoding, organization, and retrieval. And they also can help engage the students and place them in a cognitive active role and increase critical thinking. They increase comprehension and understanding. And they actually are of great value to use when you're working with an ESL student or a special education student, because they help students learn how to prioritize information or how to discern relevant information from irrelevant information. And they can actually be used as a whole class exercise like we're doing here tonight. You can use them individually, or you can use them for small groups. And one of the things we are looking at is the INTAS standards, because we always have to make sure that our teaching incorporates the INTAS standards. And basically, graphic organizers could be used to apply any one of the 8 INTAS standards. I looked at all of them, and there was something in each one of the 8 that you could use a graphic organizer to help you make sure that you achieve that particular INTAS standard.
Okay, so now we're going to go into diverse types. There's like 5 main types of graphic organizers. The first one is your star or web, which you use to show definition, attributes, examples, and brainstorming. Our second one is called a chart or a matrix, which you also can use to show attributes, comparing and contrasting, and evaluating. And then our next one, number 3, is it's a tree map, which you can use to show classification, analysis, attributes, and examples. And like here's like in a little example, this would be like for your kindergartners and first graders. You know, that it just shows a cute little picture of a flower that they would be more interested in filling out than if it was just like, say, plain lines. It would be more creative for them. Number 4 is, they call it a chain. We can also call it a timeline, where you can use to show processes, sequence, a chronological order, and cause and effect. And then our last one is the sketch, which is just like the name, you sketch. You use to show physical structures, descriptions, places, concrete objects, and visual images. So as you heard, you know, those 5 main types can be, you can intermix any one of them with an attribute and they would work. So it gives you free reign. You know, if one doesn't work for one group of students, it might work for another group. And this is where your teaching strategies would come into play. You know, you could decide whether your class is developmental age versus instructional age. Graphic organizers can be used for writing, which is like to get your thoughts in order. And a favorite one that you'll see in a lot of the elementary schools is when you go to write a paragraph, they have you do a sandwich or a hamburger, where in order to have a good paragraph, you need to have a good opening sentence or a good top bun, and then you need at least 3 good details, and then you end up with your bottom bun. So this is a really good writing tool. Then you have, you can use what for reading comprehension, where you summarize what you read, a good assessment tool. Social studies, you can use it in social studies to do like a timeline to show a place of chronological events in social studies. In vocabulary, they have this is a model, the Frere model, that is used widely within the school districts. You know, and you use this to learn like the definition, examples, non-examples of a word. You would put the word in the middle, and classifications, the definitions. There's also other models where you could have the student draw a picture. There's another model where you can add antonyms. Then science, there's one, you could use to help master the concepts. With science, a lot of it is not the how, but it's the why. And so here's one that I pulled up for like first graders or elementary, that instead of writing, you'll use pictures. So there you'd be able to grasp the concept. You can use also graphic organizers in math. You have your number lines, you have your multiplication tables, your addition tables, subtraction tables, fact tables. And for now we're moving here to teacher-created models. Teachers need to determine which graphic organizer to use based on the instructional level and grade level of the student. Just because you're teaching 4th grade doesn't mean that all your students are at a 4th grade level. Some may be at a lower level, some may be at a higher level. So you need to use your instructional strategies and base that. When trying to decide what graphic organizer to use, the teacher needs to ask which type will best support the purpose of the lesson, which graphic organizer is developmentally appropriate. Like in elementary, K through 2, your instructions need to be verbal and written. Your letter should be large. You need colored markers and crayons are going to be your tools. Pictures more than words. With middle and high school students, your instructions should be clear and concise so they're able to work independently. Third question is, how will the class use the tool? Is it going to be in whole group, small group, pairs, or individual? Number 4 is, how will the effectiveness of this graphic organizer be assessed? Did it do its job? Was the information you gave learned and understood? Number 5, will you use the graphic organizers throughout the year? And if you are going to use them throughout the year, you need to inform your students, demonstrate them religiously, reinforce them frequently. Student created. The first thing a teacher needs to do before they do a student created is to have students use graphic organizers when you teach with them. The first thing you need to do is model by using graphic organizers. You need to give examples. You need to provide the student with a template. Then you need to have the students work in small groups, and you need to give the students the opportunity to create their own and have them come up to the front of the class and defend why they